Wage labor. The vast numbers who were left without any property were transformed into the wage laborers of capital. What indeed was left for the impoverished peasant or artisans to do? Either take service as agricultural laborer under the capitalist landowner, or else go to the town and there seek employment in factory or workshop. There was no other way out. Such was the origin of wage labor, the third characteristic of the capitalist system. What is wage labor? In earlier days, when there were serfs or slaves, every serf or slave could be bought and sold. Persons with skin, hair, arms, and legs were the private property of their lord. The lord would flog one of his serfs to death in the stable as lightly as, in a drunken fit, he would break a stool or a chair. The serf or slave was merely a chattel. Among the ancient Romans, a master's property, all that was necessary for production, was classified as dumb tools, half-speaking tools, and speaking tools. A spade, an ox, a slave were for the masters all alike tools or utensils, which he could buy, sell, misuse, or destroy at pleasure. The wage laborer can neither be bought or sold. What can be bought and sold is his labor power, not the man or woman, but the capacity for labor. The wage laborer is personally free. The factory owner cannot flog him in the stable, or sell him to a neighbor, or exchange him for a wolfhound puppy, though all these things could be done when serfdom prevailed. The wage worker can merely be hired. To all appearance, the capitalist and the wage worker are equal. Don't work if you don't want to. There is no compulsion, says the factory owner. The employer actually declares that he feeds the worker, gives work to the employee. As a matter of fact, however, the conditions are far from being the same for wage earner and capitalist. The workers are enchained by hunger. Hunger compels them to hire themselves out, that is, to sell their labor power. There is no other solution for the worker. He has no choice. With his hands alone, he cannot produce his product. Just try without tools and machinery to found steel, to weave, to build railway carriages. Under capitalism, the very land is all in private hands. There remains no spot unowned where an enterprise can be carried on. The freedom of the worker to sell his labor power, the freedom of the capitalist to buy it, the equality of the capitalist and the wage earner, all these are but hunger's chain which compels the laborer to work for the capitalist. In this manner, the essence of wage labor consists in the sale of labor power, or in the transformation of labor power into a commodity. In the simple commodity economy, there were to be found in the market milk, bread, cloth, boots, etc., but not labor power. Labor power was not for sale. Its possessor, the independent artisan, had in addition to his own little dwelling and his tools. He worked for himself, conducted his own enterprise, applied his own labor power to the carrying of it on. Very different is it under capitalism. The worker no longer owns the means of production. He cannot make use of his labor power for the conduct of his own enterprise. If he would save himself from starvation, he must sell his labor power to the capitalist. Side by side with the markets where cotton, cheese, and machines are sold, there also comes into existence the labor market where proletarians, that is to say, wage workers, sell their labor power. We see then that the difference between the capitalist economy and the simple commodity economy consists in this, that is, in the capitalist economy, labor power itself becomes a commodity. Thus, the third characteristic of the capitalist system is the existence of wage labor.